Financial Services Group Sasfin has reported unchanged interim earnings. Roland Sassoon is CEO of Sasfin. Welcome, Roland. So in this interim period, I think the unchanged earnings, unchanged dividend, perhaps a bit of a surprise. It's come off a low base, and I think analysts were expecting a bit of a jump here.
Well, if we take the whole year, these results are very much in line with the first 6 months, but much better than the second 6 months. So if we keep on track with these results, we'll actually be a lot better than we were for last year.
So what you're saying, there's a momentum of improvement there.
Yeah.
Bit of a blip there, though, that non-performing loans were up by 60%. If you could explain the drivers of that.
Yes, so that relates a lot to the what we call the other loans, which is really loans attached to the private equity and property equity space. That is an area that we are downsizing, and we are exiting some of those investments, a lot of those investments. And that is the area that hasn't performed well.
And the pure banking side, what are the non-performing loans looking like there?
No, there it's much better. There's an improvement, and in fact the credit losses overall in the group are a lot lower than they were before. So that's been a good feature for the group.
So the momentum there, would that be in line with what we've seen with the big four banks, for instance, the improvement there in impairments?
Yes, as you can see, our credit losses have dropped from 1.6% to 1.2%. Which is very much in line with the other bankers.
Gross loans and advances up by 15%. If I understand correctly, that's faster than what we're seeing in the more retail-focused banks.
Yes, so that is in our business banking area, which is going very well.
The drivers in the business banking sector, from what we do know, is that corporates are cautious. They've got enough cash. They aren't necessarily borrowing. So for you, what are the drivers?
Yeah, so we are more in the smaller space. We're not really so much in the corporate space. And those companies, they need extra finance. I don't think they're in the position of the big corporates. But we're also, there's a lot of energy going into growing our business, and a lot of business is coming through now with the cross-selling, and particularly with iQuad and all the different facilities that we provide.
So iQuad that you refer to, it was an acquisition that you've done in the period, and as you say, yes, diversifying the offering to your client base with the cross-selling. More of this likely?
Yes, well, we're looking at things all the time, and there are one or two interesting opportunities there.
You've got a healthier balance sheet, as you indicated, so presumably a lot of that will be earmarked for advances, but also, as you're perhaps implying, for acquisitions. Right.
Well, we've really, that's been the big energy for the year, was to really get our balance sheet in good shape ahead of Basel III. So our capital adequacy is strong and our liquidity is very strong. And we're sitting with a huge pile of cash, 1.3 billion rand, and of course that has dragged our figures down as well because there's a negative carry there. But this is something that we've planned for because, firstly, we expect growth, and secondly, we want to comply.
Is it more difficult for a smaller player like yourselves to comply with these regulations?
Well, I think that the big players are finding it difficult to comply with the liquidity requirements, whereas we do in fact comply. And we make it our business that we will comply. So I think it's actually probably easier for us because we're dealing with a smaller situation. You know, we've moved towards getting longer-term deposits, and of course we've taken long-term loans from these DFIs, the 3 European DFIs, about 360 million rand. So that's really strengthened our balance sheet enormously.
What proportion do deposits make up or represent of your total funding?
Well, just off the cuff, it's probably about a third. So it's, you know, just generally there's about a third in securitization, a third in deposits, and about a third in terms of our own funds.
In line with your targets?
Yeah, and then now we've also got these long-term loans as well. So, yeah, it's about 25% perhaps.
Roland, dividend of 49 cents unchanged, so that's in line with the earnings being unchanged. I think some analysts were expecting you to announce a special dividend, especially since it's very much a family-held business, and we've got the withholding tax coming up at a higher than expected level.
Well, we see a lot of growth in our business, so we certainly don't want to. We've always paid 40% of earnings since the day we listed in 1987. We don't see any change there.
Roland, prospects for the second half?
Well, we're very excited. We see business banking doing very well. We see the commercial solutions suite, which is a new suite really for us in terms of iQuad and the freight and insurance. They're doing very well, and the wealth is doing very well. So those are three areas that are doing extremely well. The area that, of course, is pulling us down is still capital. We hope to get that sorted out within the next 6 months. and then we'll be firing on all cylinders, so we should do very well.
Most of these divisions that you refer to are, I think, highly competitive sectors in the South African market. How are you fending off your competitors?
With service. We give the best service in town.
And so smaller players presumably are well positioned to be able to do that, is that true?
I think that's right. I think the smaller banks provide a better service because, you know, if a big bank were to try and provide the kind of service that we provided, they'd probably have to employ 3 times as many people. So. And
use of technology, and I think that's what the bigger banks are doing to counter this issue. So for a smaller player like yourself, where it's
they're in the mass market, micro lending space. Of course, technology is the answer, but we're not in that space at all. So ours is all about nurturing and personal relationships with our clients.
Roland, thank you very much. It's Roland Sassoon, CEO of Sasfin, which has delivered first half results.